Let's teach you how to play. Now, the first thing you need to know is that if you're playing a two-player version of the game, you're actually going to get rid of a couple cards and put them back into the box. You will get rid of the 3 reverse cards, the 2 of the steal a chip cards, 1 steal a card, 1 block, and 1 skip. So you take all those, put those back into the box, you're going to shuffle up the deck, and you're going to deal 5 cards out to every player. Now, if you're playing with more than 2 players, you don't need to worry about that at all. You just choose a dealer, they shuffle, they deal, and then the player to the left of the dealer is going to go first. Now, what you're trying to do in order to win the game is to acquire 5 of these chips over here, but in order to win, you have to have 5 chips, and you have to have at least 2 blue and 2 red in order to win the game. Now, you can have more, but you have to have 2 blue and 2 red. So how do you acquire those chips? Well, it's really quite simple. You're going to be playing sequences of cards around the 4 spots around the main deck. So let's take a look at the first player's turn. You'll see quickly how it works. So to start a sequence, you're either going to have to play a wild card, which we'll talk a little bit about later, or a 1. So right now I can play this blue 1 right here. However, I cannot play this red 2 right there, because while it is a 2, you have to match the colors. But what I could do is I could put this red 1 right here, and then I could put this red 2 on top of it, and then I could play another blue 1 over here, and now I'm kind of stuck because I have a blue 4. Now this is a good time to note one specific rule, which is that you can never have more than 2 colors of sequences around the main deck. So I could not put another blue 1 right here. This would have to be reserved for red. Now, since I have this 4 left, I'm going to put it into my own personal discard pile, which will go right in front of me, and then I draw back up to 5 cards. Now, if you ever forget to draw back up to 5 cards, well, you're penalized for the next turn by not getting to draw any additional cards and only having whatever number of cards are left in your hand. Ouch. Now, one thing I want to mention is that in future turns, if I were going to discard another card, I would actually discard it on top of this card right here. Why this is important is that this card is kind of like a card in your hand. So when you look at your hand, you can play any one of these cards. You can also play this card right here. So what you put there can definitely impact your rounds. One last thing to mention about your own personal discard pile is that you always have to play the top card before playing any other cards below it. Now, let's move on to the next player's turn. They've actually cheated. They have way too many cards, but for this example, we're going to do it. So they might play this 3, this 4, and then this 5, which means they have completed the sequence. So this stack of cards is going to go off to the side. If you ever need to use it, you can reshuffle all these if you ever really need to. And they're going to gain 1 red chip, which will go in front of them. And if they had completed a blue sequence, they would have gotten a blue chip. Assuming they can't play anything else, let's pretend they discard, draw back up to 5 cards, and then it goes to the next player. Now let's go over to the next player's turn. I want to show you a really cool thing that you can do, which is that if you ever play all your cards, let's say they played that red 1, and they take this red 2 off their discard, they go 3, 4, 5, so they immediately also themselves gain a red chip, then they have 2 right here. So they're out of cards. What do? They can't discard. Well, in this instance, you actually draw back up to 5 cards, and you get to keep taking your turn. So yes, potentially, you could just keep drawing if you got super duper lucky. And we're able to play all 5 of these cards as well, which we would not be able to, but it'd be close. 2, 3, 4, 5. Get ourselves a blue chip, and then the 2 would go on top of our discard. We draw back up to 5, and then you're going to rinse, wash, and repeat until someone has 5 chips in front of themselves, 2 of which are red and 2 of which are blue. And that's how you play sequence decks. But we still need to talk about all these juicy cards and exactly what they do. So first we have the skip card. If you play a skip, it's really quite simple. The next player's turn is going to get skipped, and then you discard that off to the side. Now, the block card is actually a unique card because you can play it on other people's turn. So let's say someone was about to complete a sequence and gain a chip. Oh, when you play the block card, they will not get the chip, and the sequence they complete will get discarded off to the side. Next, we have steal a card, which allows you to steal either a card randomly from someone's hand or their top face-up discard card. The next special card is steal a chip, which is really quite simple. You play it and you steal someone's chip. The only special rule here is that you cannot win the game on a steal a chip card. Next, we have the reverse card, which changes the order that you play. So if you were going clockwise, now you're going counterclockwise and vice versa. And also, if you're playing 2-player and you forget to take this out, just use this as a skip card. And the last special abilities you'll see are the Jack's Wild, which once again, Wild can be any number you want, but they still have to be a color. So I could not play this Jack's Wild here as a 3, however I could play it there as a 1.